parents. We are really excited for this session today. I'm hoping that there is a little bit of a hybrid between some Pure users and FAR users in the room. We are so grateful for the University of Montana for coming out and making the trek to present with us today over their very unique use case at the University of Montana. Before we get going, I want to go through and do some introductions for our session. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Abigail Karstens. I'm a project manager at Interfolio. I've been here for a little over 3 years. I'm located in the Dallas, Texas area, and I actually came from a partner institution, which we have representation from here today. So Liz from Pepperdine, if you're here, we used to work together. But yes, so happy to be with you all today. I will pass it to Dave, and then we'll go over to Montana.
Thanks. So, hi everyone, I'm Dave Shear. I'm a solutions engineer for Pure and Interfolio. I was working with Montana doing their Pure rollout, and then through the process we got engaged and worked on the Interfolio implementation. So John?
Hi, I am John DeBoer. I'm the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs at the University of Montana. This is I'll be starting my 18th year at UM. I started as a professor of theater. I'm an actor and voice coach by training. And so getting into the management of a large academic enterprise was kind of a surprise to me, but I love improv. And as a teacher, I'm noticing that the audience is all spread out in the back. And so hopefully all the people who are gonna come sit in the front will join us eventually. But it's good to see everyone. I look forward to talking.
Hi, and I'm Josh Flores-Groomer. I'm Assistant Vice Provost for Strategic Communications and Operations at the University of Montana. I help facilitate all of our internal communications, connecting faculty with external communication partners as well. And I help oversee a lot of our operations for the academic affairs sector. So anything from academic misconduct to everything we use Interfolio for, faculty activity reporting, RPT, or as we call it, faculty evaluations, sabbaticals, market adjustments, those sort of things. Basically, I make sure that we're doing the things, we're doing them on time, and we're doing them efficiently.
All right, so today we will get into our agenda, and we are going to start off with just a little bit of level setting. We know that you all have a wide variety of product mix here, and so we will just first give you some definitions of Pure, some definitions of FAR, so that you get familiar with the tools that we'll be talking about. We'll then talk about a timeline of the implementation of both Pure and FAR at University of Montana, and then we'll turn it over to the Montana team to talk about how this ties into their strategic vision and the future vision of both tools at University of Montana. And do we have a clicker?
I mean, our headshots. We have to see them.
There's our agenda. All right, first I'm going to turn it over to Dave to talk about Pure.
Okay. Can we move the monitor? All right. Well, I'm going to look over here. So we've already done our introductions. This is where you can find our information. And as Abigail described, some of the things we're going to be talking about today, what I'm going to begin with is actually a definition of Pure. So Pure is a research information management, or RIM, system. I like to describe it as a hub of information of sources that come from inside an organization, such as HR data or information about grants, teaching, maybe a historical publication database that an organization was maintaining, but also bring in information from trusted, reliable sources that are outside the organization, whether it be publication databases or from funding organizations directly, or other information that you would want to bring in that we have a data source that we can provide in. And we try to do this as much as we can in an automated fashion to make it as easy as possible for users and administrators to gather that information and take advantage of it. From there, we're able then to produce a lot of different use cases that can take advantage of this information that we've gathered and connecting it to both individual researchers, but also then the hierarchy of organizations within your institution, from research labs and institutes, departments and schools, all the way up to the university as a whole. What we can do then with that information is produce these different use cases, whether it's I want to showcase the research and activities of my organization and its members in these public profiles. So having a public visible view of all this information and seeing how it's connected to each other. Being able to tell the research narrative or story about what our organization and its members are doing. Additionally, we've talked about some of the data integrations, but I want to do more with that. I want to look at the interrelatedness of this. So how does a grant produce data sets and the raw data then to go to publications and then produce the cycle of research that we continue on, and we want to be able to track that and look at the connections that are being made. But also, when we look at the connections amongst individuals, how are the researchers of an organization working together and collaborating, both within the institution, but also looking at collaborations outside of the institution, looking at connections with other organizations around the world. We can also take this data and start doing some analysis, trying to understand where are our strengths, where are our gaps or challenges, where are we seeing collaborations that are happening today, but also where can we see where there's potential for more collaborations, and how can the institution support that for its researchers and its organization to grow. How can it also assess, are we meeting our strategic plans, the initiatives that we're focused on, the things that we're trying to ensure the institution is known for? How can we highlight that and make sure that we're meeting the goals that we've set for ourselves? But then also we look at this from a visibility of our reputation. Oh, thank you. So this is where then we can say, we're meeting our goals, we're tracking this, and we can show you how we're doing that. And this also then allows us to set a cycle of goals and plans for the future. One of the ways that we do all of this with an added service onto Pure, something that I absolutely love, called the Profile Refinement Service, or PRS. So PRS is a way that we can ensure that our Pure customers have a way to gather trusted, reliable, and verified publication data in aggregate into their systems. And then we can bulk add that into a Pure system to ensure that faculty and administrators are not having to spend countless hours adding information, verifying information, and being able to take advantage of this integration of data to produce what they need moving forward. We provide expert guidance on how this is all conducted, and then we ensure the data quality. This is where we can ensure that what publications are being identified are the publications of the researchers and then being added to their profiles directly. This allows us to have enhanced profile visibility, taking a profile from having nothing that's there or being reliant upon just manual entry. Instead, we can rely upon our data integrations with this trusted information and increase the information that we have about the faculty. All this goes towards improving the search engine optimization and the discovery of our researchers within your organization. Lastly, by looking at the data, both the publication information, but also its metrics, citations, and other impact information from alternative metrics, this helps us to think about the strategic insights that we can gather about the work being done. Where are faculty publishing? What high impact journals are they working towards, and where can we see where we can help to improve faculty, help and support them to ensure that they have the resources that they need to enhance their scholarship. So now I'm going to turn it over to Abigail.
Thank you so much. So for those of you who have ever gone through an Interfolio implementation of any kind, you are very familiar with this slide. This has an overview of our product mix at Interfolio, and today we're going to be focusing on faculty activity reporting. So on the far right side of the slide there, you can see FAR, Faculty Activity Reporting, F180, Faculty 180. These are all names for the same tool here. Faculty Activity Reporting is an amazing tool that is so helpful for capturing your faculty data, for encouraging them to enter their data. It's used for CV generation, and then also that data can then be used for very important reporting. You can use this for your accreditation reporting, but also just to gain valuable insights as you work on making decisions, work on reaching out key populations of faculty. And then also with FAR, there is this premium feature, the Interfolio Data Service, that University of Montana also has. And so this is our kind of scraping tool that will go out and look for publications that match with the faculty in your FAR database. So why migrate PRS data to faculty activity reporting? PRS and FAR clients are rapidly increasing. So a little bit of history that we'll get into in a moment, but the University of Montana had just completed their Pure implementation when Kelly and I started working with them in 2023. So after they very intelligently asked, how can these two tools now work together? So our clients are increasing in two ways, either through the acquisition and just more awareness of the products that Elsevier offers, but also just net new clients as we're continuing to build our client base across the world. Another reason is for streamlined platform integration. So as I mentioned, University of Montana team very intelligently asked, we have these two tools. You own them both. How can they talk together? How can we use them? How can we have this interconnected network of software solutions that supports our campus initiatives? So this desire is something we're hearing across our client base more and more. Another reason, the IDS deduplication process. So the PRS data will migrate into FAR. We actually just wrapped that up this week, which is a huge milestone, super exciting. And now we are at a place where we can turn on the Interfolio Data Service. So we've moved the PRS data into FAR. The data service will be turned on, and deduplication will run against the data that we have migrated into the scholarship section. So we'll get some additional resources there for scholars to accept or reject from their activity form. Another reason, this will save faculty time. So this has been a huge time saver because, as I mentioned, faculty and the University of Montana had just completed their Pure implementation in 2023 before we started the University of Montana's full FIS implementation. So faculty had just gone through this effort of getting their publications together and making sure that they are capturing a large part of their career into the system. And so we want to save faculty time in the upstart of FAR. So now that we're about to launch and go live, we don't want to then ask them to re-enter data. We've just moved it over for them. So now the IDS can help fill in any gaps there. And then the last point I will say, you might be asking, why do we move Pure data into FAR? And why can that not just be a continuous loop there? So this is, as I mentioned, a one-time feed from PRS into FAR. And the reason for that is because we need faculty to interact with with IDS to just confirm their scholarship as we pull accreditation reporting, and then also for the CV generator that will flow into RPT. And the activity classifications as well. So through IDS and also through just your FAR implementation in general, you can build these customized activity classifications, and IDS will prompt you to complete those. You can then go back and complete those for your Pure records that we've migrated over to make sure we're capturing all of that information that is most relevant and important for University of Montana. All right, so how did we get here? The road to Pure and FAR started well before September of 2023. That's when the University of Montana was live. Dave can speak with that. He worked with Montana very closely for that portion of the project. We kicked off the FAR implementation in January of 2024. We were working on some other products in our suite up until then. Corey Fruin and I went on site with them in October of 2024 to just button up FAR and really dive into how we were going to make this migration work from Pure to FAR. We sent the proposal to make sure we were all aligned on the work, and then that was signed in March. And today, I can actually say we are past that last square. We are through user acceptance testing, and we are moving on to to the next thing. We've got our Vita builder to get all lined up, and then we are really done. And so that's really exciting to see them launch and go live soon.
Cool. So our journey in Montana to pure and far is really a story of perception versus reality. What we think versus what we know, or I'm sorry, what we think we know versus what is actually measurable. Feelings versus facts. And as a theater professor, I spend a lot of time imagining what could be possible and then dealing with what is real. So like many of my colleagues in the room, I imagine we've had long-standing pockets of deeply localized practice around faculty workload and advancement at UM. We have no central tenure and promotion committee. Instead, we have 46 academic units, each with their own standards, whether for tenure, promotion, merit increases, or just what normal performance looks like. We also have unions for faculty and graduate students. We're bringing our graduate students into faculty activity reporting because they have productivity in research and teaching, and we would like to generate CVs for them. And we have a union that's for our separate community college that's embedded within our university. So various types of users and various types of expectations live in our system. And so that gives us a pretty complex landscape before we even touch on technology. When we first launched Pure, what we call UM Impact is our brand for it. It didn't come with a mandate or a strong adoption push. And then as we moved into Interfolio for RTP and FAR, we quickly realized if we were going to do this right, it's not just about rolling out software, it's about rethinking about how we talk about workload for faculty, how we talk about the life cycle of their experience at UM. And that realization led to a project in what is called our fiscal year 26 university playbook. This is the way our university does annual strategic planning, annual strategic actions that align with our mission and vision. Essentially, we want faculty to be able to see where they stand, what percentage of their efforts is in teaching, research, and service, and understand how to move within that framework. And so we need a shared, consistent method for chairs and deans to track that too. And the integration of Pure and FAR are now central parts of this strategy. It's not just about using the reporting tools that you have so brilliantly brought to us, but really using them as cultural change agents. It's important to note that at UM, research is essential. We are a small flagship university, 12,000 students, but we are R1. And our bargaining agreements, even at the community college level, require some level of research, creative scholarship, or the scholarship of teaching and learning. You can't become full professor on teaching and service alone. You gotta be outstanding in those other areas, whatever form they take. So, last year, in order to make sure that everybody was really clear on the expectations and how we were going to start loading their work into FAR, drawing it out of Pure, we had to develop what we called our academic unit operating policy that ties this whole thing together. We had no centralized workload policy when we began, so we drafted this policy with FAR and Pure in mind. We moved it through our shared governance process and are going to use it to formalize our use of FAR, not just as a tool for compliance, but as a core part now of how we do business. Faculty workloads are often hidden outside of departments, and now we're going to make them visible. We're going to make sure that chairs and deans and academic leadership are attending to them in fair and equitable ways. It's how we'll evaluate department sizes moving forward, our staffing needs, and even whether a unit continues in its current form or might need to be reorganized. So this is where Pure and FAR are really coming together for us, and Josh is going to tell you a little bit more about how we're going to operationalize that integration. Josh?
All right, I have my notes on my phone. So, FAR is it is managed by the Office of the Provost at the University of Montana. And because we're so unique, we manage it across all the colleges, all the departments on campus on their behalf. We're very kind in that manner. But because we've been so decentralized for so long, historically, the provost has been the only person at UM who has access to faculty activities. Just how our evaluation process is structured, she is actually the last point in the evaluation process and reviews every single faculty's evaluation every year. It's a lot of work. The deans have had just like a smaller view of just their college, and campus partners just find out about faculty activities by word of mouth. So we haven't been doing a great job of, singing our own praises. While many of you probably hear from your faculty complaints that no one understands them or knows what they do, we actually have the opposite problem at Montana, in that shockingly our faculty are very shy and too humble. And they really don't want people to know what they're doing for whatever reason. And so both of those are a problem. So when we decided to adopt FAR, it was a no-brainer choice for us to, it complements RPT so freaking well. Here are my notes. So this isn't just going to help us make the sort of decisions that John was talking about, workload management. It's also going to paint a more holistic picture of faculty activity reporting. It's going to make them visible, bring them from the shadows into the light. And based on their title and rank, they are evaluated either annually, biannually, or triannually. And that's the approach that we're going to be taking for implementing FAR. We're going to be going along with those cycles. So we're going to be starting by using Abigail's favorite term, initiated input period. And we're going to have our newest faculty start inputting their data before it's due to us through the evaluation cycle in October. And then having all the faculty that are off cycle start entering their information now, so that the 40 pages of their CV isn't rushed and put in over the course of a week. And by the time that they're up for evaluation in a year or two, should already be there, and they're just maintaining it from that point forward. This is going to help them generate a up-to-date and comprehensive CV, which is very exciting for them. But for us, it's also going to help us make more strategic decisions as an office because of the accurate and actionable reporting features in FAR. Pure, or as we call it, Impact, is managed by our colleagues in the research and creative scholarship sector. They selected it because it has the capacity to store and highlight a diverse range of activities, and it offers tools for faculty to collaborate, generate reports, and for them to leverage the research for funding opportunities. During last year's rollout of Pure, our colleagues in research and creative scholarship, they put together a very well thought out, comprehensive implementation plan, but as John mentioned, the adoption really wasn't there because it was a voluntary engagement. And so this bridge between FAR and Pure now addresses that concern fully. To fully take advantage of our interfolio tools and embrace a paperless evaluation process, faculty are now going to be required to enter their activities into FAR, which is great because it's now creating this pipeline back to Pure, which is what we're using for our faculty web profiles. Pure's sexy, it's visually appealing, it's public facing, and so it makes total sense for us to take this route. Our goals for integration, with public perception of higher education, at least in America, waning a little bit, and our research opportunities becoming more competitive than ever, has made this a priority. It's now a part of our strategic plan for this upcoming academic year, and we're hoping that this makes all of us more visible. So our 3 goals are: 1, we want to eliminate duplicative activity input across our academic affairs and research sectors. So instead of having faculty input activities in Pure, inputting them in FAR, it now works well together, they play well together. Our second one is we're gonna connect scholars across departments and colleges to support interdisciplinary faculty connections. So research is going to leverage these connections for funding opportunities, but we were talking with our VPR recently, and he notices that when faculty are submitting grant proposals, they're often going outside of our university to find collaborators. And he's hoping that now they can find internal collaborators, just because they weren't aware before that someone else in another college already has that expertise. For our office, we're excited about this because with these potential changes, we're going to be able to look more at cross-departmental teaching lines, maybe across departments, across colleges, to help fill some of the gaps that we might experience in the upcoming future. And our third goal for integration is to increase the visibility of faculty research and creative scholarship to amplify the university's contributions locally and globally. Our colleagues in marketing and communication they're contacted a lot by external partners looking for expertise, sound bites, stories, op-eds that they want to feature. An example is we have lots of wildfires in Montana, and so we have resident experts about wildfires on our campus. So we'll have people contact us, and marketing and communication will reach out to our College of Forestry and Conservation, as they should, but they may not be aware that we have a national expert in wildfires in our College of Business. Now they'll be able to access this database, put in a keyword of wildfires, and see exactly who can talk to whatever subject. And it's also going to help our president's office as well. So our president goes and meets with legislators and donors, and they're often looking for they want to donate to very specific programs or topics that we're doing. And so now they will also be able to go out, access this database, and help make us more visible. That's all that I can keep saying. We're gonna be seen now by the world. It's exciting. So we're very excited at the University of Montana that this bridge now exists. Not only will it help us be more visible, but it's easier because it's already a part of our day-to-day process. It's now built in. So it just makes sense.
All right. Thank you all so much for attending. It was so exciting to get to celebrate all of the work that University of Montana has very successfully done to this point in their implementation. I thank you for your attention, and we would love to open it up for any questions.